if you're going to go at it with Man City, you've got to have that killer instinct.
You don't think it's getting resolved this season?
They might get one charge resolved. But
Something will slip through the cracks.
I'd love to see Grealish get the opportunity and the freedom to do that. He's certainly got much more than we're seeing.
Darwin seems like he's still at 100 miles an hour, and he creates madness.
I ain't seen a PS5.
Yeah.
All man's got was the Lynx Africa set.
Lived up to expectations.
Love that.
Hello, I'm Ryan Scott Douglas, and this is The Kickoff with talkSPORT and talkSPORT Bet. Head to talksportbet.com or download the talkSPORT Bet app to get everything you need ahead of the Premier League season. 18 plus, gambleaware.org. Now, we've not been without football this summer thanks to the Euros, but we're just a week out from the return to the Premier League. After a fight to the finish last season, the 24-25 Premier League campaign has a lot of drama to live up to. Here with me to look ahead to the new season is the fox in the box and real star of the European Championships. It's Ally McCoist, Champions League assists king, the way you stood that up for Cristiano Ronaldo in that final. Wes Brown, I'll never forget it. And 5-time Premier League winner, it is Wes Brown, of course. And former Liverpool, Leicester, and of course, England striker, Emile Heskey. Right, we've not been starved of football this summer, but it's good to have the Premier League back, isn't it, Ali?
Oh, yes, without doubt, Ryan. I mean, we all enjoyed the Euros. I don't think we could... After probably a slow start to the Euros, I thought it kicked off really well. I thought the best team came out on top in the Euros, but it's back to the bread and butter, and I can't wait. And if we get anything like the excitement and drama we got last year, that'll be fantastic.
Absolutely. And Wes, last season was, bar the FA Cup, of course, was really tough for Manchester United, wasn't it? Ten Hag needs a big season.
Yeah, he does. If you're looking at the whole league, it was pretty disappointing. Again, we finished it on a high with that fantastic FA Cup final game, and now it's about keeping that same sort of attitude and trying to push on now and get back to where I think we need to be.
Yeah, and Emile, how excited are you by this new look Liverpool side under Arne Slot?
Very excited, but intrigued as well. We don't know what to expect. We've had Jurgen for so long, the love of Jurgen for so long, that we've got someone else now. It's like we're just waiting to see what happens, really.
Yeah, exactly. Life after Klopp. And before we get into this now, straight off the bat, lads, I want to get your top four predictions, gents. I want to get them. Emile, I'm going to put you on the spot and say when to go first. Yeah, I know. Straight into it.
Straight in the deep end. I've gone the obvious, City. Arsenal, Liverpool, and hear me out on this. Hear me out, Chelsea.
Oh, yeah, okay, right.
Right, never mind your champions. How have you gone for Chelsea fourth? That's a big talking point.
We'll get stuck into it.
That's a big one.
Absolutely. They're talking points already. Ali, let's get yours then.
I've changed my mind about 6 times already this morning, but I've gone for Arsenal, City, Liverpool, and Manchester United.
Oh, United.
Controversial.
Nice. Okay, Wes, let's get yours.
With deep regret, really. I've gone Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, but I'll put the boys in there, Man United as well.
Lovely. Okay. And let's start with my team, Manchester United. Ali and Wes, you've both got them in your top 4, but Emile, you don't. Let's get into it.
No, I don't. I just think there's a lot going on there, isn't there? So when you're talking about a manager that some believe probably shouldn't still be there, some were saying that his job was being touted around. You mentally have got to control yourself and try and get the best out of a team. Players coming back who were supposedly exiled. A lot going on. I just thought I put Chelsea in because of other reasons and knowing how the manager works, etc., and what he wants. Yeah. I was intrigued with the players that he's got.
Yeah, and the man of the moment really is Ten Hag. He's still in charge. Is that the right decision, Ali?
Well, time will tell. Let's be honest. I mean, I'll nail my colours to the mast right now. I didn't think he'd been in charge at the start of the season. I just thought the way that Manchester United were going about it, they understandably and correctly took their time in making a decision, the most vital of decisions, and I thought they would make a change. Which I can understand the pros and cons. I mean, Manchester United in the league, not good enough. but again, he's won a couple of cups, which a lot of clubs would settle for. He probably does deserve, in my opinion, another chance and a go at it, a third season. Whether it turns out trumps or not, as I say, only time will tell, because there's still an awful lot of work needing done there.
Yeah.
But is it ideal for you to be, your job to be touted around and you to still be there, sat there, having to after winning a trophy?
Great performance. Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's a valid point you make. I'd also qualify that by saying I thought he handled himself really well. I thought Ten Hag had showed a lot of class and dignity.
Yeah.
Of course, you could say maybe one or two things, one or two comments we could be up for discussion. But generally speaking, when his job was getting touted all over the world, never mind Europe, I thought he handled it well, but a lot of dignity and a lot of class.
Listen, I think he's deserved to stay. It's been tough. You know, the way we've played last season at times wasn't good enough. In all departments, you know, I do feel a few of the big players did let him down. And like I said, I was lucky enough to go to most of the games last season, and it was always a game of two halves. Believe me, we could play really good, brilliant even. Whether it was the first half or second half, then the next half, it was like, what's going on? What am I watching? And that, listen, as you know, as players, that's not just down to the manager.
No.
That's something else going on. But listen, I think winning 2 cups in 2 seasons with a difficult sort of side who are not performing week in, week out, I think he's done really well, and I think he deserves to stay. And I think also when new owners come in, listen, they are going to look around. You know, they're going to dip the hand here and there to see what can happen. But ultimately, you know, Eric's is still there. They've obviously had conversations with him, and they're happy with it.
Yeah.
And now it's just about, can we sort of carry on with that FA Cup final performance in this season and try and push a few teams.
Yeah, absolutely. How big of a season is this for Marcus Rashford, first of all? We'll get onto Jadon Sancho as well, because that is another talking point. But Marcus Rashford, Emile, massive season for him coming up, isn't it?
Huge. We've seen too many ups and downs, too many swings in his performance. I think we spoke about it before, where we're talking about missing out on the Euros. That would have been huge for him. And the reality is a fit and a Marcus Rashford on fire, he goes to that.
Yeah.
And he gives you so much different angles. He can play on the right, can play on the left, can play up front if need be. But to then miss out on that and the performances that we've seen, but what we know he can produce, is difficult to watch sometimes. Whereas you would have been watching it quite regularly and thinking, that's not the player that I'm used to.
100%. And listen, like I said, he would have been disappointed. Simple as that. But listen, he's got so much talent. You know, he's a very experienced player at his age now. Yeah. And I know him that, you know, he's going to be wanting to come back strong this season. He knows it's an important one. He'll be disappointed with, you know, the goals he got last season, how many goals did he create, and he'll be disappointed with himself. And like we all know, we can't play brilliant every season unless you're Ronaldo or Messi. Sorry. And sometimes, you know, life's normal. Things are going on, and now it's just about focusing on football. And I'm sure, you know, he'll want to, you know, get back at a lot of the critics that have maybe said, you know, he's not good enough, you need to sell him. He'll want to show this season what he's all about.
I think we're going to have to find out, Wes. We're going to have to find out what he's all about. Because I was disappointed in Rashford last year, but I was also disappointed for him because he played nothing like it. He didn't deserve to go to the Euros.
No.
Right? He did not deserve to go to the Euros. And another one, I hold my hands up, I actually said towards the end of the season, I thought it would be the club's best interests and his best interests if they went their separate ways. I thought that affair had kind of run its course a little bit, as it sometimes happens. Right, so that's not going to happen. So we're now going to have to see, I think, what Marcus Rashford is made of.
Yeah.
And we know what he can do, but he's now got to get the bit between his teeth. He's got a real challenge, because I think United last season were really disappointing, particularly in wide areas. Garnacho, I thought, was the best of the group, to be honest with you. But, you know, if you're a centre-forward playing in Manchester United, you'd struggle to get on the end of many crosses coming into the box. So I think getting back to Rashford, Sancho's another one to come back. That's going to be an interesting topic. I mean, there's so much going on at Manchester United. I saw Sancho 2 games up. I saw him live towards the end of last season, against, I think, PSG in the semi of the Champions League.
Of course, you commentated on the
and he was
games,
different
didn't you?
class.
Yeah.
I've got to say, boys, honestly, God, he was fabulous both games. So there's a player there. So there's so many players at Manchester United, particularly in wide areas. I've got questions to ask, and looking at the long-term future, big seasons for them.
Let's turn our attention to Arsenal. You have them winning the title, Ali, but before we hear your reasons why, let's get a view from the stands now. AFTV's very own Lee Judges joins us. Lee, how are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. How you doing, guys? All right?
Very good, very good. Right, I'm going to give you 30 seconds, uninterrupted, to give us your take on the season ahead. And I'm going to get straight into it now, Lee. Your time is going to start now.
Well, listen, I'm very optimistic about Arsenal this season. I think we're a very, very good side. But if we're just to get past City, I do think maybe we need a striker. Just saying a little bit different to Havertz and Jesus. Look, they're fantastic players, but I just think we need that goal scorer. It's a window of opportunity for us with the other teams not quite at it at this moment in time. Defensively, very, very sound, as we all know, with Saliba and, of course, Gabriel. But I just think if we're just to get over the line, fine margins, we need that striker, that killer in front of goal, and that will...
And there it is. Hey, that was brutal 30 seconds. You did such a good job there, Lee. Right, so the gist of it is defensively sound, but we picked up there, might need a striker. Ali, let's get your thoughts immediately. What do you think about what Lee said there?
Listen, I actually can't disagree with anything they said.
Yeah.
Centre-back pair, different bracket. I thought they were fantastic last year, really, the two of them. And obviously Saliba getting into the Deschamps French team as well, which a lot of people had question marks about. They signed Calafiore, the Italian from Bologna. So defensively, I think absolutely fine. The only question mark, middle of the park, great, really. The only question mark, I'm the same as Lee, would be something different in the centre forward position.
Yeah.
Jesus will score goals. I've always been, and you could back me up here, I've always been a fan of Havertz.
Yep.
I really have. I think he's an absolutely terrific football player. And I think he plays that position exceptionally well. He wouldn't have played that position with Germany if he wasn't doing it well with Arsenal. But I still, from Arsenal's point of view, would be happier if they had a different option.
Yeah.
Just something that, not necessarily play every week, but a different type of centre forward to the two I've mentioned.
Yeah, I'm going to back you there as well. When that transfer did come through, you were still waxing lyrical about Havertz. So I back you on that one. Wes, thoughts on what Lee had to say?
Listen, I agree with him. Pretty solid all-round defence, unbelievable. There's one thing I will say, and listen, I think if you're going to go at it with Man City, you've got to have that killer instinct, you've got to have that winning mentality. And the only problem I have is that I think City have it, and maybe Arsenal don't yet.
Yeah.
And that's the only difference. I've been there before myself. When it gets tight, can they keep up with Man City, who have been there, done it again and again and again? That's the bit that they have to overcome.
Yeah, for sure. Before we let you go, Lee, let's give you the final say. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I agree with it. I just think we have that little bit of ruthlessness that we need. There were games last season, just, the City away. Maybe if you got a killer in there, you nick the goal and you win that game, you go on and win the league. But I think it's fine margins, I really do. And listen, over the last 2 years chasing City, it's a difficult job. We had it with Man United back in the day, but this City is something just a little bit different, and that's what we need. Just a killer.
Yeah, absolutely. Lee, really appreciate your time and your comments there. Thank you very much, and good luck for the season.
No problem. Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Cheers, Lee.
Right then, Ali, let's move on to you, because you have Arsenal winning the title in your prediction. Why?
I think Wes makes an absolutely valid point, right? The one thing that City have got out with tremendous ability is a winning mentality, right? And a lot of games, you look at City, are one up in the head. Opposition playing against City, I don't care what MD says, you're playing against a team like City, you've got question marks, you've got doubts. I wouldn't say fear might be too strong a word, but there's a little bit of intimidation. I think Arsenal have just about got over that. Now, they haven't got over it until they win the league, right? I totally accept that. But I think the last 2 years will have served them really, really well. Somebody said to me, could you call Arsenal failures last year? in my book, nowhere near it. Absolutely nowhere near it. They've been beaten by one of the best sides we've seen in this country in many, many a year. They had a period just about the turn of the year. I can't remember exactly when. I was at the home game. They lost. I think it was West Ham beat them at home, and then the following weekend or the following game, I think they lost 2 London derbies. I think it was Fulham.
Yeah.
But the game that probably sticks out in my mind was Aston Villa at home.
Yeah, I got you.
And if you look at that in isolation, the cold light of day, I thought they played well first half, and they got beaten by a team that, unless I'm mistaken, at that period, beat Manchester City as well. Villa went on that run, particularly at home, where they were exceptional. Aston, so there's no real major shock getting beat by a team that qualifies for Europe. But that was the game that maybe had a question mark more for me against them than anything else.
Yeah.
That said, taking everything into account, they've taken this Manchester City side right to the last game in the season.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And I'm not sure, the reason I'm going for Arsenal is quite simple. I'm not sure there's more improvement in City, but I actually think there's more improvement in Arsenal.
I like that.
Have they got their depth though?
So
when you're looking at the starting 11s, you go man for man. You kind of go, okay, you can match it up. Saka comes out. Are they going to replace Martinelli? Are they going to replace him? When you're looking at them players, whereas City, you got Oscar Bob. You just had a young lad, Nico O'Reilly, and you're saying, you know what, he could actually do a job in there.
I know.
Where they're coming from? Emile?
They've got all these players that generally won't change the result or won't change the way that they play. Whereas with Arsenal, I see a lot changing when you take.
I take your point. I really do. I take your point. I think Arsenal, a lot of things will have to go their way in terms of injuries, particularly injuries, maybe suspensions. They do not have the strength and depth. I don't think anybody's got the strength, being honest with you, that City have got. But if Arsenal can carry a little bit of luck in terms of injuries, I actually just think
they might do.
I think there's slight improvement in them.
With that being said, though, with all of that being said, Wes, is Arteta under pressure, though? Is he under pressure because he's not quite delivered? He's not quite got over the line?
You say that. Listen, I think if he got the same points again this season, you're just hoping Man City don't get what they get. So you can't say he's failed.
Yeah. So
I understand all that point, but that's a lot of points.
Yeah.
I think you said it before, that was one.
I think it was a point short of the Invincibles. I mean, that's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. Well, that's how good that City are. So that's where the margin is, and you're just hoping, okay, maybe City can't be that good again.
Yeah.
And that, he'll be saying to his players, listen, we just do the same again. And that is honestly true.
I don't think we can't class it as failure because of the points tallies and what they're achieving, etc. But when you're at the bigger clubs, when you're top 4, top 5 clubs, there's an expectation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've won the league, so you can tell me that the day you won the league and the day after, it's 2 different mindsets.
Yeah.
You've forgotten about that. Now you've got to go again.
Yeah.
And we've forgotten about last season now, and it's like, what drives you to be better and even better and even better? You can't say it's a failure, but there's going to be so much pressure on him to be better now.
Do you know what I think, guys? I don't know whether you agree or not. Again, time will tell. I actually don't think it's possible for those... Well, it is possible, but I don't think it will happen. Those 2 teams to show the same level of consistency. I actually expect them to drop points against Liverpool's, Newcastle's, Aston Villa's, Spurs. I actually think there'll be more points dropped next season than there will. I thought the level of consistency for those 2 sides last year, and I know I'm speaking about Arsenal losing games against 2 London derbies, but both teams' level of consistency was nothing short of remarkable.
Yeah.
I don't think that can happen. I'd be staggered if it happened again next year.
Absolutely. The standard is high, and setting that standard is Manchester City. So let's stay on them. And unlike the last few seasons, there are some question marks around them, as Ali's just alluded to there, for the season ahead. So with Pep's contract running out at the end of the season, do you think, Wes, let's start with you, do you think he's going to stay on, or do you think he's going to move?
It's difficult. I think this has been the longest he's ever been at a club. To start with, he's won everything. He's put City on the map. I think it'll be very hard. What's going on in court as well, with everything there. Listen, I don't think if he is going to leave, I don't think he'll tell anyone. I think it'll just be done pretty quick. But obviously, like everybody else, no one knows what's happening yet, and I think it's a tough one for maybe him to come out now like Klopp did, and say, listen, I'm leaving at the end of the season. I think that puts doubts on everyone. Performances drop a little bit, and I think they do. It gets to the players a touch. I just think he'll leave it this season and then see where he's at. But he's. I mean, if anyone can do that, it's Pep. You know, he can pretty much go where he wants. But I don't think he'll be letting the players know that.
It's a hell of a thing to do, though. I agree with you. In terms of that season, it's probably the right thing to do. But in terms of filling his shoes and the club moving forward, the owners probably like to prepare. You know, it's a kind of. I feel it's a kind of catch-22 situation. That
I think they'd have all that already. I think they'd have all the mechanisms to know
who's next.
This is the short list of what's next because it fits what this and this.
Yeah.
So they'd have.
You think they'll know?
They'd have the list of the managers that will fit the system. Because the system isn't just the first team. The system's the whole thing coming down.
Yeah.
Or down to the youth team. When you see them, they all play the same. That's why. Rico Lewis can just fit in, and you're like, is he 30 years old or is he 18? So because they play the system all the way through, so they'll know who's next, but they won't know when that person is going to.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah, so they'll have some form of contingency plan. One thing that they can't really, the cloud that looms over them, and we have to talk about it, guys. And there's been no resolution yet either. 115 charges. This has to. I mean, guys, this has to get resolved, doesn't it? Ali, what do you think? How is that going to be affecting Pep?
Well, it's not fair on MD.
No.
It's not fair on MD. It's not fair on Manchester City. It's not fair on opposition supporters. It's not fair on opposition teams. There has to be a resolution of some description.
Yeah.
There has to be. There has to be an outcome. It's only fair. You look at clubs last year losing points, right? So if that's the case, there has to be an outcome to Manchester City's situation.
Yeah.
One way or another. We were just talking about off air. What a can of worms that could potentially be.
Gosh.
Right? Now, it's all right saying it could be potentially, and it will be a can of worms, but it's a can of worms that has to be opened. In the terms of fairness, it has to be opened.
Yeah.
Can I say on that, though?
Of course.
Don't you think they've got big enough lawyers that will be kicked down? They'll just be earning money. So it'll be kicked down the road, and so it'll be 5 years before something will be actually.
You don't think it's getting resolved this season?
I can't see it.
Really?
But they might get one charge resolved. But
Something will slip through the cracks.
But it'll be kicked down the road, and it'll be 5-6 years before we actually get to anywhere, to be honest with you.
Which in itself, it's a great shame, and it's not fair because people, as I say, have lost points last year.
Yeah.
The supporters of all clubs deserve a resolution.
Of course they do. Let's move on to something a bit more positive. Let's get back onto the players. And we've talked about big seasons for big players. We've mentioned Rashford, Sancho, Jack Grealish. Wes, I'm going to throw this over to you. Jack Grealish, he needs a big season, doesn't he? And the question is, has he gone backwards under Pep? What do you think?
Listen, I don't think he's gone backwards. I think he's an unbelievable player. You know, his talent's there to be seen. I do feel sometimes when he's on that left-hand side, it's limiting him a lot. I mean, the old Jack, as we know, loves to get on the ball.
Yeah.
Loves to get in certain areas.
Yeah.
Will be the game winner for his old Aston Villa team. Yeah. And, you know, like Emile said, in this Pep team, you know, he's that's his position. You know, that's where he plays. And that's what he has to do. You know, he creates stuff just on that side. I'd love to see him in a Foden or De Bruyne sort of 10, you know, roaming about, getting on the ball and creating. But it's not turned out like that, unfortunately. And sometimes, you know, because he is left out on that left-hand side, we don't see enough of him. You know, and you can see he's frustrated at times.
He's an
but he's still
player,
doing his job. He still does his job.
I think he's doing exactly what he's been told to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that this is the problem for Jack, right? I think if you ask Guardiola, generally speaking, he'd be delighted with Jack's giving him.
Yeah.
Stay in that position, keep the ball, get me free kicks. But we all know sitting here, he's got a lot more to offer.
I want to see him more.
Of course we do.
Well, we can draw comparisons to Julian Alvarez as well. I mean, he kind of he's an expressive player as well, and he wasn't getting the kind of like the role that he wanted. He's moved on now. He's going to be leading the line somewhere. So, yeah, I mean.
Can I just say, we asked the question as, has he gone backwards? He hasn't gone backwards. Actually, if you're talking as a coach, as coaches, we'll say, no, he's actually progressed.
Yeah.
He's got better. because he can take in instructions and apply them instructions, and every manager loves a player that can just apply the instructions the way that you want him to apply them.
Yeah.
The only thing is, we know Jack for having more than what he's producing there, but he's producing what the managers tell him to produce.
Yeah.
And I'll guarantee that when he goes into that changing room after the games, the manager's patting him on the back saying, well done, I need you to do this, and this is how disciplined you was, and you chased back, and you did this, and that was the way the manager will be saying it. But he'll be thinking in his mind, and fans are, and probably his parents, his dad's probably thinking, I've seen you from the age of 7, running rings around players.
It's a funny one, Emile, looking at it, because you're right. The one thing that he has been, and he's been brilliant, he's been disciplined, right? He's held that position. He's done exactly what the coach wants. But we're talking about it again. You look at somebody like Foden, who I personally think is as good at receiving the ball as any maybe I've ever seen. And I mean that, honestly, that's how good he is. And he deserves, we spoke about kind of, for England, for example, Foden was stuck out, we need to get him more central, right? You need to get your top players more central. I think there's an element with Jack as well. You know, I think Foden come into his own when he plays more central, whether it's a number 10, he's got a freedom to run about that area between the 18-yard lines, effect. And I'd love to see Grealish get the opportunity and the freedom to do that. He won't do it in that City team, I don't think, if Foden plays as well and Silva plays, because he'll be told to keep, one of them will have to keep that discipline, and Doku keeps a bit of discipline as well. Yeah. Whereas if one can come in off the other side, but he's certainly got much more than we're seeing.
I'm with you. Here's a question for you, lads. Is it bad for the Premier League if Manchester City win it again? What do you think, Wes? Is it bad on our mob, Manchester United?
Listen, they're the best team.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And it's pretty much telling every other team, listen, you have to get better. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
You know, regardless how they've got there, you know, they play the best football. The manager's top class. Like we just talked about Jack there, they get the best players in and he can play them where he wants them to play at their best ability as well. So it's not a bad thing. Listen, I think, like we just talked about Arsenal, they pushed them last season, you know, and they did. And I know for a fact it's going to be harder for him this season. But it's definitely, listen, it's best league.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
Is that the conclusion we're drawing?
How can it be bad if the best team win the league?
Yeah.
I mean, it's impossible. It can't be bad.
Mm-hmm.
What's bad? Not even bad. What would be disappointing if they go and win it by 26 points?
Let's get on to Liverpool now. All three of you had them in your top 4 predictions. But before we get into our panel's thoughts, let's see what the Anfield faithful think. We sent talkSPORT's Harry Durham up to Merseyside to find out.
Hello and welcome to Anfield ahead of the brand new Premier League season. I've taken to the streets of Liverpool to speak to the fans. Arne Slot is at the wheel. How's he going to get on? Will Liverpool win a Premier League trophy in his first season, or will it be the top 4 and a domestic piece of silverware? Let's find out.
Come on, Liverpool. Come on, Arne Slot.
Come on, Arne. Come on, Liverpool. New season almost here. How excited are you for Arne Slot to get going?
Very excited. I was very impressed with them against Arsenal the other day. Thought they played really well in the first half, especially. Obviously, the kids came on in the second half, but yeah, it looks good.
Bring on slot ball, that's what I say.
Bring on Slot ball.
Bring on slot ball.
He's definitely got some big boots to fill, but, you know, I feel confident. I think he'll be fine.
Arne's the man. He will do well.
You're backing him all the way?
All the way.
Do you think he can go all the way and lift the Premier League title?
I don't know about lifting a title like.
I hope he'll do it, but I think it's a step too far.
I think he'll do it first season now. Maybe top 4, maybe a cup, yeah. But looking forward to it.
Do you think this could be Mo Salah's last season at Anfield just behind us?
I think it will be. If he goes to Saudi or goes to Spain or whatever, then good luck to him, because he's been fantastic for us. But, you know, life goes on, the club goes on. The club continued after Gerrard, the club continued after Dalglish, the club will continue after Salah.
There's another Dutchman just up the road at Manchester United. Will Arne Slot, say that again?
He's rubbish, I'm winning him.
Will Arne Slot and Liverpool finish above Erik ten Hag and Manchester United this season?
Absolutely. That's a cert.
I don't think Ten Hag has got it, and not just go and beat United, but batter them.
I think Man United's manager, to be honest, he's lucky he's still here. I don't think I'd trust Ten Hag to look after a non-league team.
Definitely not Ten Hag. He's got nothing about him at all.
Come on, Arnie, sort them all out.
You need to win a trophy.
but you also need to get into the Champions League.
Welcome to Liverpool, Arna.
Come on, Anna, you can do it. We're going to win the league.
Wow, some pretty level-headed Liverpool fans there, I have to say. Emile, is it just a case of making top 4 for Liverpool this season?
I don't think it's just the case of making top 4. Yes, it's ideal to make top 4, but when you have such a iconic manager leaving and such a manager that really took the Premier League by storm kind of thing, not just only won one league, but his presence and everything. The thing is, when you've got another manager coming, you've got to give him time. And as we know, football doesn't give anyone time.
Yeah.
But the reality is, these fans will give you time. They've still got some fabulous players there.
Yeah.
And all it is about getting them to understand the way that he wants to play.
Yeah.
And the reality is, they should be finishing top 4.
Yeah, OK. And where's... I saw your jaw clenched a little bit during that VT. But how impressed have you been so far with Liverpool's pre-season?
Yeah, they were good. I watched them last week, actually, against Manchester United in South Carolina, and they were very good. Salah, particularly, looked on form, looked sharp.
New trim, new player.
Yeah. But listen, I think he's getting himself a brilliant squad. And I think it's then for him to, get the players to start trusting him and getting them to play to the best of their ability. We do know that there's a few players on the last year. Is that an issue? Maybe sometimes. It can be. And we're talking about the better players as well.
Oh, yeah.
And for instance, you need your Mo Salah playing at top form to be anywhere near sort of that sort of top 2, top 3. And
is that a dilemma just now, do you think? I mean,
I think it is.
I would ask the question is, when you're going into your last season, if you had, well, do you go all out? Do you hold back? And this is the key thing with players. You've got to ask yourself as well at times: are players kind of pulling back when they know they with injuries and stuff like that?
It's a natural thing. I think the first thing he probably did as a manager would have sat Mo Salah down, for example.
Yeah.
And say, right, Mo,
get him on your side.
You got to. What's the deal here? You've got a year to go. We need to know. Are you totally committed? Do you want to sign a new contract? You want to go just now?
Yeah.
These conversations, and with Van Dijk and Trent as well.
I was going to say there's a few players. Salah, Van Dijk, Trent.
Massive.
Yeah.
Now, it then becomes a business decision for Liverpool.
Yeah.
And it's a massive... I mean, imagine those 3 players walking out your door for nothing. And that could... It could easily happen the way things are going.
But what would you do with Trent, Wes? What would you do with him? Would you have a look at Real Madrid?
I think... if you're getting an idea he might not be signing a new contract, you have to look at all the options.
Yeah.
And it'd be a massive loss. Liverpool fan, been brilliant, whether it's right back or sort of that right side of midfield. You want him to stay. You want him to sign.
If you were Trent, would you be looking at Real Madrid?
I mean, listen, he's won everything there now. I mean,
he's got to be.
There's only a few clubs that when they come in for you or they're interested in you, and you're at any other club, there's only a few that you'll turn your head.
And you're going to say Real Madrid's one of them?
Well, Harry Kane goes to Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Jude Bellingham. I mean, these are absolutely massive clubs in world football. And if you're asking the question, would he be thinking about it? He's 100% got to be thinking about it.
Yeah.
But Liverpool, business-wise, I keep going back, I've got a decision to make.
Yeah.
Are they willing to lose these 3 players for nothing?
Yeah.
For nothing?
Yeah.
I mean, you take those players, I know they've only got a year to go, but at the peak of their contract or length of contract, that could be £250 million.
Yeah. Let's pivot to players that potentially, have more than a year, that are currently the present and potentially the future as well. Darwin, Emile, are you having him? Do you like him?
I like him.
Yeah.
I do. I think when you're talking about players that give you everything, and he's one of those. Granted that there's certain parts of his game that need ironing out and brushing up.
Finishing.
When it comes, and that's down to composure at time. I play with one of the best at that, Michael Owen. When he gets to that critical moment, he knows how to slow everything down and really pick the point out.
Yeah.
Whereas Darwin seems like he's still at 100 miles an hour, but he gets himself into some wonderful positions and he creates madness, mayhem. You don't want to forward like
It's
that.
like playing it's you.
Let's move on to Spurs now. Nobody has them finishing in the top 4. We'll get into that in a moment. But first, we're joined by, and I'm really happy to say, we are joined by Spurs fan Expressions. Welcome, mate. How are you? Hey.
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for having me on. You know what I mean? But I'm going to need a lot more than 30 seconds. I ain't seen a trophy in 16 years, mate. You know what I mean? You might have to add on 21 seconds like So Solid Crew. No. We need a bit more than 30 seconds. I'm thinking, what's going on?
I know, you deserve more than 30 seconds, Expressions, but you're going to have to do your best to keep it within 30, OK? So we're going to give you 30 seconds. Tell us what you think Spurs need to do to get back on track this season. Expressions, you're going to get straight into it now. Your time starts now.
Well, Andrew's been a breath of fresh air because we've come from fossil football, buses, planes, coaches all parked on the field. Like, he's trying to implement his style, but we need better players. I'm all for the gung-ho Hotspur, a defensive line higher than a resident in Amsterdam, but we have conceded 61 goals and our defence is open like a petrol station. We need a defensive midfielder. We need comprehensive cover, like you're insuring a Bentley. We need better players for his style. He's the club, they need to back him and they need to give us better players so we can implement his style and we can do something because the squad is not good enough.
Woo! There it is, Expressions. Lived up to expectations.
Love that.
Do you know what? I caught some of it. I didn't catch all of it, but a lot of work to do. Ali, what do you make of what Expressions said there?
I'm still recovering from fossil football. What a line that was. That was
open like a petrol station.
That was tremendous.
Well done, Expressions.
I think Expressions makes some good point. Expressions, I'd like to ask you, the one thing you haven't mentioned there is, and you're talking about new players, and I get it, and all supporters want new players. What are you going to do to compensate for the 30 goals that Harry Kane gave you for so many years?
But that's what I'm saying. That is exactly what I'm saying. Harry Kane's gone, and we haven't replaced him. Obviously, I know he's irreplaceable like Beyonce and that, but we need a goal scorer. Like, all we've got is plan A. Plan A is a high line. We need a plan B because when we held 4 to Newcastle last season, that was unacceptable. You know what I mean? So for me, like, Harry Kane needs to be replaced, and we're looking at someone like a Dominic Solanke. Me personally, I wanted Ivan Toney and Eze. That would have showed me that we're serious. Do you know what I mean? But we were supposed to get our business done early. How early? What business has been done? I'm telling you, it's like the business is finished. We're looking like Debenhams, Woolworths. Do you know what I mean? What's going on? Like honestly.
Expressions, don't you think Son needs to step up to the plate and be that guy that could give you possibly half of them goals?
Definitely, but like even last season, Son didn't have the greatest of season, but his output is decent. His output with goals wise was decent. But for me, Son can't be our main striker. Like, I like to see Son on the left. Like, we need a comprehensive forward. We need like an Ivan Toney. Don't get me wrong, Dominic Solanke, fabulous player. 65 million, that English tax is wild. I'm not even gonna lie. 65 million.
How would you go for Ivan Toney then?
Oof.
All right, so Ivan Toney, because he's in his last year, I was saying like 40 million, but at the same time, Brentford have got an injury to one of their players. I'm not even going to lie. With Ivan Toney, he's proven it in the Premier League for more than one season. So I would prefer an Ivan Toney to a Solanke. Not saying that Toney's got a higher ceiling than Solanke, but right now, we need someone good to go. You know what I mean? You know what Elephant Man said? Good to go. That's what we need. We need someone good to go, fam.
Expressions.
That is what we need.
Expressions. I hate to be the bearer of bad news and I hate to break this to you, but none of the panel have Spurs in their top 4. Do you think Spurs are going to finish in the top 4? Just straight up, what do you think?
I'm not going to lie. I'm concerned, innit? If I'm honest with you, I'm concerned, because I've seen the problems that we've had, and I just want to know if they're going to be addressed. We can't go into this season without a defensive midfielder. I hope that we've hired a new set-piece coach, because set pieces are like penalties for the other team if you watched us last season. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So we need to address the problems that we've got. And the only thing that's been addressed is them signing up Timo Werner for another loan, bro.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? So, I thought, you know what? I just thought, you know what? You know, like when you're opening your Christmas presents and you get the Lynx Africa set, you say, you know what? That's just the first one, you know. Like, I'm going to get the PS5. I'm going to get the whatever I want to get. I ain't seen a PS5, bro. You know what I mean? I ain't seen one.
I'm with you.
All man's got was the Lynx Africa set. So for me, I'm not going to lie. I can't look at anyone on the panel and be like, oh, you guys are crazy. How have you not got Tottenham in the top 4?
Yeah.
Because last season, like, we only made Europa League. We got similar points that we got with Conte and Stellini. You know what I mean? Stellini and Mason. We had Lenny and George from Of Mice and Men looking after the club at the end of last season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not a big man team. And so, like, we haven't really improved that much. But Ange, like, he's changed the philosophy. He's changed our playing style and everything. And I'm 100% on board with him, but he needs his own players. That's what he needs. And we have got rid of more dead wood than HBO this summer. And I'm happy. Do you know what I mean?
I'm with you.
But we need to bring the players in.
Yeah.
We need to bring the players in, like, because we've got 2 kids so far and we're looking at the future and that, but the Premier League isn't a sci-fi film, innit? It's not about the future, it's about here and now,
It's about
innit?
the present.
Like, we need to do something.
I'm with you, Expressions. I'm with you. Do you know what? I've been looking forward to talking to you all day. We all have, and you've lived up to expectations. Keep killing it. I see you on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Keep killing it, Expressions, and thank you so much for your time.
Well done, mate.
Come on. Man said big Emile, Heskey, you know. McCoist and Wes Brown. What's man talking about? Hey, big me man up, you know what I mean? Hey, Wes.
Yo.
Hey, Wes.
Yeah.
Hey, borrow me a trophy. You don't need all of those. Borrow me a trophy. You don't need all of those.
I got a couple for you. Can I? Which one do you want? Which one do you want?
Yeah, brother, I know you got a couple, bro. I grew up watching you, bro. My brother's a Man United fan, you know what I'm saying? But the difference is, he's got no home games. His games are away and further away, because we're from London, you know what I'm saying?
That's good.
Cheers, Expressions. Thank you, mate.
Good.
Oh, wow. Brilliant. He lived up to expectations, didn't he? Wes, I'm gonna stay with you. I'm just trying to recover here. I'm going to stay with you, Wes. Ange could have learned. What would he have learned from last season? He's probably learned a lot, hasn't he, from that debut season in the Premier League?
Yeah, 100%. And the main concern for me is the striking sort of position. He's got a lot to do. I mean, Tottenham for me, I always feel. Yeah, they're decent, but they're not going to give anyone any problems.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think that's the bit that needs to change. You know, they're always, they're going to get into Europe. Are they going to get in Champions League? We're not sure, but they're going to do well throughout the season. I don't think they're really going to be challenging for anything. And that's the problem. And yes, they let him goals, but the big concern is he's filling that gap still, even though it's a season later.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. The Expressions there talking about a plan B. I mean, it's funny. I covered a lot of Spurs last year, and I really enjoyed. Probably if I'd have picked somebody to go and watch, it'd be Spurs, because you know what you're going to get. Yeah. But I'm not sure I could handle if I had a season ticket or supported them, because you know it's carnage. It's all out of chat. You're losing goals defensively. I mean, I saw them a few games were excellent. I saw them up at Newcastle. And they were terrible, you know. They were terrible at Newcastle. And the next week they're absolutely brilliant. But the Chelsea game will stay with me. Yeah. And it's talking about plan B, because Big Ange plays his way, and I've got to say, I agree. I think he's been a breath of fresh air. I've really enjoyed, you know, his teams go for it.
Yeah.
But will he change?
Is he tactically naive? Could you make the argument? He's only got a plan A?
No chance. There's no chance is he tactically naive. He might not change his mind, and he might not do things that we think he should do or we would do, but that doesn't make him tactically naive, right? Because he's an intelligent man that will be tactically astute, but he just wants to do it his way. Yeah. And his way, some people might see as tactically naive, which I think is completely wrong.
I just think sometimes you have you get fixated on what you feel it should look like and what you want it to do, and at times you need to stick by that, because if you start changing it, it's no longer you. You're following everyone else's trend. He's obviously come in and seen what is needed mentality-wise to be the best, and he's done it on different continents. Yeah. So he's trying to install that into a club that has the best stadium arguably in the world.
Yeah.
When it comes to football.
Yeah.
when you go and talking about other sports, you go to America, there's crazy stadiums.
Different gravy.
But when you're talking football, it's the best stadium in the world. So he's thinking, well, if you've got this, why can't you match it with that? And he sees it in his head that it needs to be like this, and he sticks with it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's going to go right, and sometimes it's going to go wildly wrong.
Yeah. Let's cross over to West London. Chelsea only made Emile's top 4. They haven't had a great pre-season. Ali, should Chelsea fans be worried?
Absolutely. I think they should be worried. I mean, you speak to the average Chelsea fan just now, and they are worried. They're deeply concerned because they don't know what they're going to get. I mean, there's one or two things happening off the field that would be a concern. Within the dressing room, looks a little bit of unrest. Hopefully that can get settled. But getting back to the managerial change, that surprised a lot of people, myself included. We probably won't get to the bottom of it ever, but I just thought it was a strange decision when the manager who I thought had a good end to the season, right? I thought he had a fantastic end to the season, Pochettino, and you think after a uncharacteristic average season, actually not as good as that, to be brutally honest, and then they pick up. I think they won 6 of the last 7, whatever it may be. You think, well, it looks as though he's maybe turned the corner a wee bit. You think the Chelsea fans say, well, okay, right, we finished. Should have and could have and probably should have beat Manchester City in the semi-final of the Cup. Taking that, there's a lot to look forward to next season. Then bang, the whole thing's up in the air. The manager's away. You've got another manager who comes in, who, with the greatest respect, did a good job at Leicester, but he's not really what a lot of the Chelsea fans were expecting.
Yeah,
right?
That's fair.
So I think there's a lot of question marks at Chelsea, and I can understand the fans' concern.
So there was an expectation, like you're saying, but with what the owners or the hierarchy said was, we want a manager that does this. Enzo actually ticked all the boxes. In that sense, yes, he's not a manager that is like what they used to with Mourinho, etc. Them big names. He's not that, but the box he ticked. When they said they wanted a manager that does this, and I'm obviously been watching Enzo from a Leicester perspective for a while now, and I was like, well, that's Enzo. And then the next minute he's going over there, and I'm thinking, well, I kind of saw that because of what they wanted. Yeah. So I wasn't surprised in that sense. Yes, because he hasn't had a long managerial career, and he definitely hasn't had a long one at the top end. But
he ticked the boxes, is what you're saying.
I thought he ticked all the boxes in the way that he plays, and he's so regimented in that. I watched some of the training sessions, and my thought process is if he can get Leicester's team playing that way with so-called lesser players, what can he do with the Chelsea players? Yeah. If they buy into what he wants, and they've got to buy into that. I watch a lot of the training sessions, and it's continuous patterns, and play. Yeah. And the intensity.
Well, it sounds like you're backing him. It sounds like that's why they're in your top 4.
That's why I put them in there, because I think with the players that he's got, you've got to remember, you've got the top player at Leicester is still Jamie Vardy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You're looking at all them players. Vestergaard wasn't in Leicester's plans, and then as soon as he comes in, he's one of their best players from playing out. From the back perspective. It's going to be very open though. Yeah. They're going to be very open, because when they give the ball away, they're very open. Yeah. But again, when you're talking about Leicester, and this is where I was really interested to see how he would have done with Leicester going up into the Premier League, because they created so many chances but didn't take them chances with Leicester in the Championship. When you go into the Premier League, you need to take them. Yeah. And then they didn't concede loads of goals, but they conceded a lot of chances.
Yeah, exactly. Wes, what are your thoughts on Conor Gallagher? I mean, that is a bit of a buzzword in terms of a player right now. How do you feel like they handled the whole situation?
Yeah, listen, I feel it's a little bit odd. You're talking about one of the fans' favourites, maybe leaving. I feel he's a very good player. But I just feel that in general, Chelsea, they relatively have a young squad. And I think as individual players, some of them brilliant. I feel as a team, maybe not quite there yet. And that's what we've seen a lot of the games last season, letting in a lot of goals. At times, yes, you're thinking, wow, what a player he is, and he is. you know, they've been in certain games last season, the City one in particular, where you think, wow, this is good, this is coming up. But obviously, new manager coming in now, they obviously have to get rid of a couple of players, but for it to be Gallagher is a little bit of a shock for me. You would have thought, right, he's going to be one of the backbones to the team, you know, captain the team as well, and he's going to be the one that's probably first on the team sheet to help, you know, get everything else going. There's a lot of players that have come in that, you know, it takes a while to understand the Premier League and Chelsea Football Club in general, whereas you're thinking
he'll
Gallagher, no, he'll know what it's all about.
100%.
He'll help the other players settle in. So
it's another question mark for the fans, I think, Wes. You know, if you're a Chelsea fan, you're a little bit concerned. Your manager you know, he's finished the season well. And then you think there's nothing a supporter of any football club likes more than one of their own coming through and been a great success.
Yeah.
Right. No matter what team you support,
it's
a connection because you see yourself on the pitch. It's one of your own. He's representing you, your club, and it's just another big disappointment for the vast majority, if not. We know probably the reasons for it, but at the same time, it's got to be a big disappointment for Chelsea fans, that.
Yeah. Emile, I mean, we have to touch on it here. It looks like Enzo Fernandez is set to be the vice-captain for Chelsea after everything that's happened. What do you make of that? What do you make of the way that they've handled this situation, this bizarre situation?
Hasn't been great. Hasn't been great. Be interested to know who's advising, because
behind the scenes.
Yeah. Because the reality is, it was a weird situation from the get-go. You're playing in South America and you're having a go at the French national team. Yeah. It's got nothing to do with you. So it's a weird situation anyway. But then you go live stream and knowing that you're live streamed, you're gonna get backlash. You're gonna get. But again, not to think that, and then Chelsea to think that it's okay to just say, well, we've dealt with it. No, we want to know what you've done. Yeah. Because this is not what we do. This is not how we are. This is not what we feel. So let's deal with it, and we want to know what you've done.
Yeah.
The reality is that I think there was something saying that he gave to charity. No. Let's see other stuff. We want to see some sort of discipline.
Yeah.
If he's any sort of person and he really does regret it, regardless of the consequences, he has to go up and speak to the boys. You know, they're his teammates. Yeah. Listen, if he goes into this season where, and you might be able to see it in games, and I'm not going to lie, I'm not passing him the ball. I'm not. I'm not going to. You don't want that. No. If you're Chelsea,
no chance.
Let me tell you. Yeah. So it all depends how he's handled it. You know, if he's put his hands up, explain how it happened or even why, then you know the lads might. You know, it might take a while, but the lads, you know, you're all on the same team. You might play normal football. Like Emile said, Coley and Teddy didn't speak. Their partnership was absolutely fine. But it's how, you know, he represents himself from now and what he does to the boys at the club.
Absolutely. Well, Enzo Maresca isn't the only new face we'll see in the Premier League dugout this season. Here's talkSPORT's Angelina Kelly with everything you need to know about the new managers plying their trade in the top flight this season.
A new season of the Premier League is nearly here, which means new teams, new players, and of course, a host of new faces in the dugout. So let's meet them. Attempting to fill the massive shoes left by Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool is Dutchman Arne Slot, who, despite tactical similarities to the much-loved German, claims he is no Klopp clone. On the field, he led Feyenoord to the Dutch title, and in a record that is sure to be tested, has never lost more than 2 games in a row. Italian Enzo Maresca takes over at Chelsea, having led Leicester to the Championship title last season. And he'll follow a similar path carved by Mikel Arteta, going from assistant manager under Pep Guardiola at City to managing one of the league's biggest clubs. In his playing days, he had a stint in England with West Brom, where he was carpool buddy with none other than former Chelsea boss Graham Potter. The freshest face in the dugout will be Fabian Hürzeler, who at 31 becomes the youngest permanent manager in the competition's history, even younger than the Premier League itself. The highly regarded German led Hamburg club St. Pauli to the Bundesliga's Vi title last season and will hope to get Brighton back into European contention. Coming up from the Championship are 2 young managers with stellar reputations. Southampton's Russell Martin and the man who led Ipswich Town through back-to-back promotions, Kieran McKenna. Despite playing no minutes of professional football after injury ruined his career, McKenna studied a sports science degree before becoming a youth coach at Tottenham and was Jose Mourinho's assistant manager at Manchester United. Meanwhile, Russell Martin is no stranger to the Premier League, having captained Norwich City. Outside of football, he's established a charitable foundation in his hometown of Brighton, and as a committed herbivore himself, is part owner of the UK's biggest vegan restaurant. Elsewhere, Julian Lopetegui succeeds David Moyes at West Ham, having previously managed Spain, Sevilla, Real Madrid, and of course, the mighty Wolves. The 2020 Europa League winner will have his sights firmly set on getting the Hammers back into Europe. And finally, Steve Cooper takes over at promoted Leicester, having lost his job at Nottingham Forest last season. With these new faces, we can expect new tactics and new personalities in what will undoubtedly be a cracking Premier League season.
A load of new faces there, guys. Loads of new faces, but my mind straight away gets drawn to a massive gamble for Brighton to hire a 31-year-old manager, lads. What are your thoughts on that? Emile, we'll start with you.
Brighton do this data thing, don't they? They do a lot of their stuff is their signings, etc., driven by data. So they've probably looked at all his stats, how many young players he brings through.
Yeah.
What his signings, what sort of style of football he plays, progression, etc., etc. And they would have come to that conclusion. They'd have looked past the actual age. The toughest part for me with that is the players.
Yeah.
How do they look upon, and especially like the more senior players, how do they look upon someone who they're probably older than?
Yeah.
Or just as old as?
Yeah.
Trying to tell you this about playing football in the Premier League because you've never done it.
Yeah, exactly. He's younger than me, guys. He's younger than me. But
he did a fantastic job at Sao Paulo last season.
Yeah.
Right? No doubt about it. And you've got to say, I don't know whether the boys agree, in terms of one of the, I'm loath to use the word smaller clubs, but I would say it's smaller clubs in the top flight. Mm-hmm. Has there been a better run football club, never mind in top flight anywhere, than Brighton in recent years? I think Tony Bloom, and it is the way he does it. He obviously he's a gambler, but he goes through all the statistics. So you can tell he'll have left no stone unturned in the search for a new manager. He's had great success recently and previously. So why really should we doubt him, right? Because his recent history has been excellent. We're only kind of asking the question mark probably because he's come from the second division in Bundesliga 2, right? And he's a younger coach and a younger man. So there is going to be a certain amount of questions, but it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. In terms of a club run superbly well in recent years, Brighton's got to be one of the top of the list.
Exactly that. I mean, if you're going to trust anyone's recruitment process, it's going to be theirs, isn't it? And if you're good enough if you're old enough. What's the saying?
That's it. You're old enough, you're good enough.
There you go. Big shoes to fill for Lopetegui, Wes, at West Ham. I mean, there was the whole saga with David Moyes. I mean, a lot of people thinking he got done a little bit dirty, potentially.
Yeah, I did. I thought he did well. I know the fans weren't happy at times. But he got him he got them the cut.
Yeah.
He got them in a good place. He got them, pretty steady. I know the West Ham fans still want more.
Yeah.
They want to be higher up. So I think David Moyes was a little bit unlucky there. And now I still think they're in the same position. They're not sure what they're going to get again. This is what I did. This is what I feel. I don't. Yeah. I don't know what we're going to get from him. Are they going to start well? Are they going to be that team that, when they do turn up, they can be a handful. So it's going to be interesting again. For me, I know the fans who were there week in, week out, what did they change? But we just might be going back a level. Well,
I think everyone talks, fans-wise, they talk about the West Ham way, and I'm yet to know, because I obviously came through an era with Rio, etc., and Frank, so I kind of know, and then you had Joey Cole. So I kind of know the West Ham way in that sense, but you're 20-odd years down the line, it's not the same anymore. It's definitely not the same football. But so, what is the West Ham way? And everyone keeps saying the West Ham way. For me, if Moyes goes and wins that cup and then keeps you in the top flight, yes, you want to take that one step further and try and stay in the top half of the table. And then in a few years' time, it's just be an established Premier League. You're not going to break into top 4.
It's fascinating. This is one of the stories looking forward to next season. Right? There's a saying in life, be careful what you wish for. Right? We all know that saying. I mean, you cannot argue what David Moyes has achieved at West Ham, right? I think it was a semi-final of the Europa One League, and then they win the competition, the following competition, they win a competition next year. They've been comfortable in league positions. I always think sometimes, and they've obviously signed my big pal.
I was going to say, you got your wish, Ali. You got Fulkrug.
I wanted to see him in this country, and I want to see him because there's something refreshing about a kind of old-fashioned. I use the word old-fashioned. It's probably the wrong words to use, but he's just a centre-forward, likes to attack the ball. He's aggressive. He's a handful to play against.
He's old school.
Yeah, you get the ball into the box. You need crosses into the box. He'll attack it. Things will happen.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to seeing him. But in terms of the West Ham situation, it was funny because I think sometimes supporters get bored of managers if they're there for a period. Right? I genuinely think that. And I think it'd come to the case where Davey had probably run his time at West Ham.
Yeah.
Was it successful? You better believe it was, in my opinion. Were West Ham fans thankful for the job he did? Yes, but they wanted a little bit of change. I get that. And I think it probably was the right thing for Davey to go and do something else. And it's going to be really interesting. I'm fascinated to see what's going to happen with West Ham next year.
So we know who you guys have picked as your top 4, but what about the other European places? Emile, starting with you again, putting you on the spot. Give us your 5th, 6th and 7th place, please.
So I've gone for United, Spurs, and I've thrown Newcastle in there.
Ooh.
I was umming and ahhing about Villa, and I'll give you my reasoning later about Villa and why I've put Newcastle in.
Yeah, OK. Ali?
I've gone for Spurs, Villa and Chelsea.
Oh.
And the reason, I'll give you the reasons later on.
You want to defend yourself already?
I'm just dying to get into it. Right, there's my front 3, my 5th, 6th and 7th.
Yeah, OK.
I'll tell you the reasons later then.
Wes, let's get yours.
Yep, I've gone Villa, Spurs and Chelsea.
Oh, OK, right. So should we get into it then, Emile? We've talked about it off camera. No Villa.
No, they're in Europe. The size of your squad and the extra games are going to take its toll.
Yeah.
We've seen it with the travelling as well. A lot of people underestimate the travelling when it comes to thinking. And I think there is a stat out there, and someone will throw the stat out, that when these teams come back from a European game, their league form dwindles a little bit. So that's the only reason I didn't have Villa in there, because as well they've had to sell a couple of players and they've brought a couple in, but they've had to sell some Douglas has gone.
Yeah. That's
so
a big
he's
loss.
a key player. Don't get me wrong, they've got other players in there, but I think he would have been a key player.
I get you. But they're in yours, though, Wes.
Yeah, listen, Douglas Luiz was one of their best players and he's now gone. But I just feel, listen, I was watching Aston Villa last season and I just seen a hunger.
Yeah.
And that is the honest truth. They just, the whole team.
Yeah.
I think the manager's
they wanted
fantastic though, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's done well.
What a
He's
job.
done well. He's got them going, and I don't think that's going to stop this season. I think it's too early to stop. And yes, they've lost Douglas Luiz, but Watkins still. You've still got all these fantastic players who still want to prove to everyone that we should be in Europe. We should be here in the league, and I just think that'll continue. I think the manager's got enough to keep that continuing.
With an extra 10 games, do you reckon? Or...
I take your point. That's why they're not back in my top 4.
So they're dropping technically. So you are saying that it will take a toll to a degree?
I think the extra games take a toll.
Yeah.
Unless you've got an absolutely massive squad, which they don't have. I think they'll miss Douglas Luiz, but there were a couple of interesting signings as well. And Anna coming in, and obviously Ross Bartley, which I'm delighted to see. I really enjoyed watching Luton last year. I've got to say, I enjoyed watching Ross Bartley in particular.
You're a fan of that signing, Ross Barkley, yeah?
Yeah. I'm really pleased for him, and I want to see him continue again in the top flight. I think a talent like Ross Bartley, as we saw last year, deserves to play in the top flight, and I think it's going to be a really interesting season for him, and indeed Villa, obviously. But I think the extra games might just cost them a top 4.
Yeah, I'm just tapping into what the viewers might think here, because Wes, you've not got Newcastle having a European place. What's the thought process there?
I just feel, I'm not sure if the manager's going to be there.
Oh, hello. Where do you think he's going?
The
Where do
whole
you think he's
season.
going?
I don't know, but I just feel it's going to be tough for Newcastle this season. I thought
he's got England written all over him, hasn't he, Eddie Howe? He's got. Come on, let's just say it.
Hey, listen, he's one of the favourites.
Yeah.
He's one of the favourites. And, Newcastle would love to spend money, and get certain players in. They would love to do it. But I just feel they're just going to come up short this time.
Yeah. And, I mean, retaining players as well. At the time of recording, they've still got Gamirish, though. They've still got Isak as well. Ali, though, You don't have him in your European spot either?
No, I don't. And you know something? The boys will tell you, it's one of the best places to go when the place is buzzing. I mean, I saw him at home at Spurs. I saw him European nights, the Champions League. That place is on fire when they're doing well. And it's like the irony's not lost to me. You know, I think there will be a continued progress as such. If the reason I've not got in my top 7 effectively is because I don't know what's going to happen between now and the start of the season with the 2 players you've mentioned, right? We know the financial restraints on all the clubs, but particularly Newcastle. And I just think if they lose one of those 2 players, that's a savage blow.
This is why I don't think they will lose them players, and I think Eddie will stay, and I think he'll do a fantastic job there. And I think, for me, I think they will be in that top 7. I think he's done a great job so far.
Agreed.
He's done a fantastic job so far. I think he's meticulous and he's probably really intense in some of the work that he does. And that's why I think he'll. They don't need to sell.
Yeah, no, they don't.
They don't need to sell, and they haven't. Obviously, they probably do need to sell if they want to bring others in. It's funny because I sat with a Newcastle supporter, and he was like just chewing me ear off, and I was saying, but I was saying to him, yeah, but why don't you? He says, I would just love for them to just spend.
Yeah.
And we know that they could possibly, but they just obviously can't with the restraints.
Yeah, exactly. And none of you had West Ham with Lopetegui, by the way. That's very telling. None of you had them in European spots. But for all the markets mentioned, from Premier League outrights to top scorer, plus specials and boosts, head to talksportbet.com or download the TalkSport Bet app. Before we discuss the battle for survival, let's get some more Premier League predictions from you guys. Ali, I want you to fill in the blanks of the following statements. Okay. The player I'm most excited to watch this season is...
Ross Barkley.
Oh, Ross Barkley, straight up.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bold statement because I think I thought he had a fantastic season last year. I enjoyed watching Luton. I liked everything about Luton last year, really. Thought they went about their business really well. I thought it was really refreshing and great to see him back playing and controlling games against top-class opposition. I'm delighted that he's back playing or staying in the top flight, if you like. And I think he could have a great season.
OK. Wes, the player I'm most excited to watch this season is?
For me, it's because I missed him, is Martinez.
OK.
Big miss last season. You know, he's sort of been a rock when he plays, and looking forward to sort of getting back to them the way he was playing when he was fully fit.
Yep. OK. Emile, the player I'm most excited to watch this season is?
I'm going to go with Cole Palmer. I think he had a fantastic season. Didn't know if anyone was actually expecting that, but knowing his confidence, knowing his ability, he was outrageous. And then to go to the Euros and not necessarily play, but when called upon, really putting some good performances where people are asking, should he be starting, really?
Yeah.
And then seeing if he could actually do it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was my number 2, by the way.
Was he?
He was my number 2.
OK. And nobody asked me, but I've got to say, Kobbie Mainoo. Come on, Kobbie. He's my boy. I cannot wait to watch Kobbie Mainoo this season. Right, we're going to move on.
Yes.
Ali, someone who needs a big season is?
Marcus Rashford.
Woof.
There you are. Yeah. I think the boys might even agree with me.
Yeah.
I think it's a massive season for Marcus Rashford.
Yeah.
I've already said, my views on how disappointed I was for him and his team and his supporters last year just didn't happen at all. He's now, I think, probably at a crossroads. It looks like he's staying at Manchester United, which, you need a bit of certainty in your future. He's now got that. Disappointed, clearly, at his own level of performance last year. Deservedly, in my opinion, sadly not making the England Euro squad. Big question mark about his future in terms of how he's going to react to it. Massive season for him.
Yeah, fair reasoning there for me. Wes, who needs a big season?
Yeah, Rashi for me.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, same. Listen, I know what he can do. I'm actually excited watching him because there's a lot of pressure on him. And I just hope he comes out the other side and, everybody that's sort of put him down, he gets back at him.
Yeah, you can feed on that, can't he? He's that kind of player. And Emile, who do you think?
I think
it's the same. There we go.
I think, to be fair, we've seen a little slump and we've seen him pull himself back out of this. Is another chance to do that. We know what he's capable of doing, and everyone's even though he might look at it differently, I know a lot of people are behind him to actually rise again. He's a fantastic player, and we know what he's capable of doing. But now it's for him to show that.
Yeah. And for the clean sweep, I'm going to go Marcus Rashford as well, by the way. I completely agree with your reasoning there. And I think he will, by the way. Right, manager of the year will be, Ali.
It'll be Mikel Arteta.
Ooh. This backs your Arsenal winning the league. I've got you, okay.
Yeah, that's... Now, I guarantee you, if Arsenal don't win the league, it won't be manager of the year.
Yeah.
But I'm sticking my neck out. I've said I think Arsenal will win the league. I think they'll win the title this year. And in doing that, I think he'll be manager of the year. I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, okay.
I think if Arsenal win it, he's manager of the year.
Yeah, I like the logic. Wes, manager of the year.
Yeah, I hate saying it. I think it's going to be Pep again.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. You think they're going to win the league? That's why.
He's the guy to beat. They're the team to beat.
Yeah,
I think, again, I've gone with Pep being with Man City winning the league. So it's hard to look past Pep. If I'm going to go for another one, kind of just a curveball, Gary O'Neill. Doing fantastic things at Wolves.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to go Pep as well. I'm with you because I think City are going to win the league. It's going to be boring. Right, okay. This season's top goal scorer is going to be Ali.
Now, the question you should be asking is, who's going to be the second top scorer? That's a far more interesting question.
Can we change the question on here, please?
That's a far more interesting question.
Yeah.
It'll be Haaland and Ollie Watkins will be second. There you are.
I was going to say exactly the same too. Haaland, I think, is the obvious choice, but I think Watkins is on fire.
Okay, Haaland. But if Haaland gets injured, though, lads, what are we thinking? Then who could be second place? Or...
Well, I'll tell you what I'll say, right? If Haaland gets injured, I don't think the top scorer will come from Manchester City. Right, I think my obvious guess would be Watkins. But interesting to see what happens with Tony, obviously, and boys like that, and Son at Spurs. I think, and obviously Salah, all chipping.
Solanke did okay as well, so we've got to really be careful with someone like that.
Good point.
He had a great year.
Yes, exactly. So someone like that, you never know. But Watkins is your go-to.
Yeah. What does City do if Haaland gets injured with no Alvarez? Wes, what do you think? What can they do?
Obviously, you have to bring someone else in, but I think that's what Ali was saying. The goals will come from somewhere else. They won't just be necessarily looking, to play how they normally play, and you'll see a few more individual brilliances in the season.
Yeah, play with a 9.5.
The 9.5 strikes again. We've gone full circle. Right, okay. Right, here we go, Ali. You got to go big on this. Okay, I'm expecting big things from you. My big prediction for the coming season is.
My big prediction for the coming season actually will be at the start of next season. I don't think Pep Guardiola will be Manchester City head coach at the start of next season. I think he will leave at the end of the season.
Do you think he leaves to go to another club, or do you think he leaves to take a break from football?
I think he leaves to take a break. If any manager or coach has earned their stripes, it's Pep Guardiola. And he's probably the only one that you would think is in a position to go, right, I'm taking a year out and be confident that he could walk back into any job. Yeah. That's why I think he'll probably say, and it's just, I've got no real logic for it other than he doesn't stay at clubs particularly long. I think City's the longest he's been as a head coach and manager.
Yeah.
And I think he might just think, right, I need a rest. I need maybe a year out, 12 months out, 18 months out.
Okay.
I might be wrong, but you wanted a controversial one, and there's one for you.
I like it. It's a good shout. Wes, I need something big from you here. What's your big shout for the season?
Arsenal win nothing again.
Oh!
Straight in.
Oh, yes.
Straight in.
Yeah. Two-footed.
Not only did he say that as if he meant it, he said it as if he hoped it happened.
Yeah, did you see the smile on his face, by the way? Yeah, okay, so you don't think it's going to happen for them again this season?
I think they're going to fall a little bit short again.
What does that mean for Arteta's job? I'm just going to bolt
tough.
onto that. Yeah.
Because like I said last season, I don't think it was disappointment, but he needs to win something this year.
Okay. Emile, big shout from you. What is it?
Big shout. We had expressions on.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to go Spurs to win a cup.
Oh, my gosh. That is big. That is big.
Huge.
Yeah.
Harry's gone. Now's the time.
Yeah. Wow, OK. What cup? Can I pin you down to a cup?
Oh, jeez, come on.
Is that too much?
You want chocolate sauce on it, haven't you?
Yeah. I think that Southgate's going to have a job by Christmas in the Premier League. Ooh. I think that is my shout for the season. I also think Crystal Palace could challenge for a European spot.
Whereabouts is a matter of interest, Southgate?
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I think Crystal Palace could challenge for a European spot. I'm just thinking about the way that they finished the season. Their trajectory's been like that since Glasner's come in. They've retained Eze. Mateta on fire.
I was going to say, are they going to retain till the end of the... Yeah.
That's the question. At the time of recording, they've retained Eze. So that's my shout. Leicester, Ipswich and Southampton have been promoted this season, and last season we saw the 3 promoted clubs go straight back down. So who do we think is at risk of relegation this campaign? Let's get your predictions in. Ali, let's start with you.
Ryan, I think it's the same again, mate. I'll be brutally honest with you. Last season, I did say, I predicted that the 3 promoted teams would be relegated. And it's a kind of, you'd think it's an obvious thing to say, and in certain aspects it is. However, it doesn't actually happen that often when the 3 promoted teams go down. I just thought last year, you know, it would be the case, and sadly for obviously those teams, Sheffield United, Burnley and Luton, that was the case. And sadly, I think it's going to be the same again.
Yeah.
There will be other teams that will be hovering about. I'm interested to see how like the Forest do this year. I'm interested to see how Fulham start, for example.
Yeah.
But I just think...
Have you got them in an order, Ali? Have you got them in an order?
I have. I wrote it down because I knew you asked me that question.
Yeah.
I think Southampton. I've got Southampton bottom.
Yeah.
I've got Ipswich, and then I've got Leicester.
Okay.
I can only apologise. But,
Emile.
But do you know something? I just think the gap now between the top flight.
Yeah.
And I love that. I've got to say, I love that championship. I mean, that is a proper league. Saturday, Tuesday, bang at it, 46 games, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's proper football. But I just think the gap now between the top flight is so great. It's extremely difficult unless teams get promoted and go about changing their personnel.
Yeah, and hitting the ground running as well. Wes, let's get your bottom 3.
Sadly the same.
Oh.
I've gone Southampton bottom. I've then gone Leicester and Ipswich.
Leicester again, Emile. Leicester again.
I just think
what's going on?
Yeah, I just feel the gap's too big. You know, we've seen these clubs take gambles time to time on players.
Yeah.
You know, players that have been in the league, a little bit older, a little bit mature, and it doesn't quite work.
Yeah.
You know, and I think you really need to pretty much change your team once you come up, and we know that's not going to happen. And I just think that the league's too strong at the moment.
Emile, your bottom 3.
Yeah. Difficult one for me, to be honest with you. Again, I've gone Ipswich, Southampton, and I've gone Leicester.
Hold on a second.
He's eyeballing us.
Hold on a sec. The dirty looks then across the studio.
Ali, you're right. You're right. In a sense, the gap is so big.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at Leicester, and when you've still got a 38-39-year-old as your best player, the gap's going to get even bigger. And what is the gap? What do we talk about? It's generally money, isn't it? And what you can spend. Yeah. Leicester can't spend the money that they inevitably have. We have a very generous owner who's funded us to the hilt. Yeah. He's done fantastic for us.
Absolutely.
We've won the league because of what he's done. But there's only so much he can do now, and we actually got our hands tied behind the back and still might even have the points deduction.
Yeah.
Do you know what I think, Ryan?
Go on.
You asked a question earlier on, right? You said, do you think it's bad for the league if Manchester City win the league? And I said, no, I don't think it is. I think the best team. I actually think it's bad for the league if the 3 promoted teams keep getting relegated. That's what I think is bad for the league.
Good shout.
I don't necessarily think the best team winning the league's bad for the league, even if it's the same team.
Yeah.
I think that what's worse for the league is the 3 promoted sides continue to get relegated. I think that's bad for the league.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's pivot away from those bottom 3 selections that you picked there. Ali, who else is in trouble? I mean, I'm thinking...
Forest, I think.
Forest?
Yeah.
OK, go.
I've got to say, I admired the spirit at Forest.
Yeah.
I really did last year. You know, I think Wood was top scorer. I think he got 15 in all competitions. And they deserve an enormous amount of credit.
Yeah.
Their home form, I think, you know, when they get the place, electric is a difficult place to go to. I think for Forest to survive again, they'll have to rely on home form. I think the crowd play a major part. I think Nuno's got a job in his hands. I really do. Other teams in the mix. It'll be interesting to see how Everton... I think Everton... Emile, I think, was speaking of it, might disagree a little bit. I think Everton will be okay.
Yeah.
I think they weathered the storm last year. Sean Dyche's a man I've got a lot of respect for, and I think that fabulous, does a great job. I also think their stadium will be a factor.
Yeah.
Last year, I think you want a ticket for an Everton home game this year, because I think they're aware of the fact they're going to a new stadium.
Yeah.
This is the final year. I think that'll play a massive part. I think they'll pick up points at home. I mean, the form last year wasn't good enough. Then they beat Liverpool, and it'll be interesting to see how they do. But out the other clubs, as I say, Fulham I've got a slight concern for.
Yeah.
I've got a slight concern for Fulham. Interested to see how they start. Fulham and Forest would be the other two that I'd have a little bit of concern for.
Okay, Wes, are you concerned for Everton?
I think Everton will be okay. I think it was difficult last season with what they had to deal with. But Dyche has been tremendous, got everyone fighting, and at that point you need everyone fighting, and he'd done what was needed to be done. But the big one for me is basically what Ali said. I think Forest, even though, I've actually been to the stadium, it's electric, but they're letting far too many goals. Yeah. It's as simple as that. And I'm not sure if there's anyone else that, could be there or thereabouts, it'll be Forest.
Oof. Okay, well, that's it from us. Thank you to Emile, Ali and Wes. This has been The Kickoff with talkSPORT and talkSPORT Bet. Head to talksportbet.com or download the talkSPORT Bet app to get everything you need for the Premier League season. 18+, gambleaware.org. Bye for now.